Welcome back to another episode of the Season Crew. We're really excited today to have with us Sami Skaff, Chief Digital Officer at Nabooda. We've been doing this series of talking about Caesar. Now we wanted to bring in a guest, talk a little bit more about the overall picture. What is digitization looking like? What are we doing? Where are we going in the near future? So, Sami, if you can, just give us a little bit of an introduction on yourself, and we can take it from there.
Yes, hi. So I'm Sami Skaff, Lebanese. I've been in the region for the past 19 years of my life. I've been in the automotive industry since 2009. Worked across most of the business units in the auto industry, talking about marketing, talking about sales, B2B sales. And then when the digital transformation started picking up in 2018, I moved to the with the digital team and IT, and hence this is where my journey started on the transformation. Been there initially by profession. I'm a software engineer, but then there is that love affair with the auto industry, and that started with me in 2009, and digital was the connecting points for me. So I used to run the traditional marketing in the past, and I'm a process-oriented guy. So that kind of gave me, like, if you want, it's like kryptonite, something like that.
I have kind of similar, right? So I have marketing background, but I was always into like computer software. So digital marketing was just a natural fit for me. And then I also love cars, so here we are. So it makes a lot of sense.
It's a beautiful mix.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about Nabooda for the people who don't know?
So Nabooda is a group, Nabooda Automobiles. We represent 4 brands. We represent Porsche, Audi, Volkswagen, and we represent McLaren, which we got about a couple of years back. We do serve our customer in Dubai and Northern Emirates across, and it's a big range of product. We're talking about from the small car to the hyper super cars, passing by the Porsches and the Audis, and not to mention the McLaren, which is a totally also different experience.
100%. So from your perspective, obviously you're the Chief Digital Officer. We talk a lot about, okay, the next step is probably like it's always very sales focused when we're having these conversations on digital, but digitization isn't just sales, right? It encompasses CRM, customer support and experience, the user journey. So can you tell me a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes and what is the focus for you and Nabooda in the coming years?
Yeah, so as you rightly said, Jad, digital transformation is not only about sales. You have to look at the full value chain within the auto industry. You have to start like the way we're doing it at Nabooda. Now we're going taking a step back, starting from the manufacturer until we deliver the vehicle to the customer, and moving also to the after sales parts and eventually the trade-in, so we can keep that cycle going. Now, that being said, as we stand today, I always like to go back to the basics. Fixing the basics for me is a must, especially in big operation in the automotive industry, whether being sales, after sales parts, marketing guys, the CRM, the call center. It's a full canvas in front of you. So my first roadmap is to fix the basics, but nevertheless you have to introduce some kind of thirst killers, because the business or the owners or even the senior management will not look at you and say, okay, you know what, yes, we're doing CRM. No, CRM is a must, but you need to give that thirst killer here and there. So first of all, it gives you an appetite of what's going on around you, especially on the technology, by applying a use case, not just by ticking a box. You know what, AI, for example, today's buzzword, and you say AI. No, it's not about AI. It's where do I use AI, and how can this be beneficial for our operation as at Nabooda. Now, not only that, sometimes you might fail, and it's important because you have to test on a small scale. You understand if it fails, fine, it's not the end of the world, and you didn't do a big impact. Negative impact. However, you learned a lot, but you always try and you evolve. So that's kind of the iterative approach.
I mean, we talk about this so much. Like even me with my team, I tell them, if we're not making mistakes, then we're not learning. We're not pushing the envelope enough. You know what I
Especially
mean?
in digital.
Yeah.
Digital, back in time, failing was not part of an organization culture. Still till today, like let's be honest. But in digital, it gives you that margin of error to fail because the investment and the impact is not really heavy at that end.
Yeah.
So what it does, it basically let you try things. If it's successful, happy days, you scale. If it's not successful, at least you tried, you saw okay, and it was a big learning curve.
That's amazing. Like I also we adopt the same culture at Seas, and we're a fast-moving startup. It's crazy to see that, and also like a bigger company, and you guys pushing really on the innovation side.
That's part of the transformation, Jad. The reason being is going from the traditional organization and going on digital transformation. Part of it is change management, and for change management, bringing that idea of a failure sometimes just to try, or even a hypothetical test, that's needed. But that's what's going to give you an edge moving forward.
So we always talk about when we're doing this process, right? We're learning, we're failing, we're moving forwards. I think throughout this process, we're generating maybe not just data, but like there is a lot of data being generated that is allowing us to understand if this test is succeeding, if it's failing, you know what I mean? Across a business's organization, I feel like into the future, we're already generating so many data points. It's like, how do we take those data points and transform them into action? So how do you actually make sure that you're taking that data and that your digital strategy is actually driving you towards your goal?
Always, Judd, we need to start with the use case. If just again, because especially an organization that has been in the industry for long, like Nabooda, sometimes you might have some silo data here and there, and it's normal because that's how technology was evolving. One day you use that data, that database, the other one the unstructured, and then things start getting messy. But you always need that person who's gonna orchestrate and kind of have a future vision, in the sense that, okay, if I'm getting this, how can this help me out connecting all the dots? In data, and as you rightly said, it's everywhere. First, I'm working on organizing our internal data, our customer data, structuring that. It's already in our DMS. However, now we have to move to the next level on the CRM and the marketing cloud and use the segmentation to do something. So we have a couple of use cases that we will be working on. As I said, I'm currently fixing the basics. Is first of all, the customer segmentation. From a data cleansing, especially, we have kind of 3 brands or 2 brands to be frank. They are niche product, or they have niche customer segment. From a database standpoint, our data is kind of clean, because especially in the old systems, you didn't have any control over your data. There was no OTP in the past, and the salesman might enter the name, for example, Muhammad. We have Muhammad, and Muhammad can be written in a multiple way. One is double M, one is one M, one is writing just putting him as Mo. And today with personalization and communication with the customer, those fields are very important. So, and it's very important to address the customer with his name or her name. It's very important because it's not gonna look so whenever a customer receives any message, I'm still talking basics, right? I didn't move yet on the next level. They don't feel that it's related to them. So it's very important to have the right data, to have a clean data. The data should be cleansed. And it's part of what we're currently working on.
I think 100%. Like we talk about, Caesar and AI tools and stuff like that. But honestly, a lot of the effort that the team puts in is in cleaning up data and making sure that it's understandable. Especially, I think, with trends going into AI. AI is based off of data. If your data is unstructured, then it's a disaster. It's going to give you more chaos. You're automating the chaos, right? You're just making it crazier. But yeah, I definitely think in terms of like into the future, we have all of this data, structuring it, making sure it's like the same format. It can talk to each other. You can do an analysis across is super, super important.
Sorry, Jad. You need to take it into, as I said, into use case, because when you work on a use case, you will know which data you want. Because to go and approach thing in a gunshot approach, that's not gonna happen. You know what? I need to fix all my database. No, calm down. You have a worth of like 20 years, 30 years of data, and you don't know where you're heading. So look at the business case, because what you end up doing eventually is on couple of front. Either you are planning to increase revenue, or you're planning to improve customer experience, or it's a compliance. I believe these are the three facets you want to look into it. And this is what will drive any initiative you take. And you take it in a growth hacking approach.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that you try, it's working, it's not working, you fix, you scale. That's the approach. Like we can work a lot on parts. Parts is another ocean altogether.
There are practices that over time have evolved. What are like old practices that you think need to change?
Coming from the automotive is an engineered approach, right? Even though digital is engineered, but automotive is engineered because you kind of see the end product and you say, okay, this is the investment that the shareholder have placed in place, and I'm talking from the brand side. We give it to the dealership will sell it. They still see the digital approach kind of, even though now it's shifting, as the same approach. However, digital is not linear. Even though we have the data and everything is there, but it's not linear because you have a lot of trial, you have a lot of error, you have to look at analytics, you have to test, you have to think, okay, you know what? And because it's mostly at the end is talking to your end user, and which is customers, consumers who are going to go on your website and look at things. One of the things, and unfortunately, automotive was the last to come in the game of digital. Like FMCG, apparels, they were always fashion, they're always fast to adopt.
Very high value products, right?
Yeah.
They're not bought all the time.
Yes, exactly.
So changing those processes, especially traditionally. And then I always say this to my team, like ultimately automotive there is no other industry that's controlled by maybe 150 companies. You know what I mean? Like they're the source of the manufacturing and the product for the entire world. Even in real estate, which is a very high value product, in every location there's a different manufacturer or there's a different developer, etc. Whereas here, all over the world, there's like these 150 brands of cars that we're selling.
One thing came to my mind as you were talking, Jad, because we represent a lot of global brands in UAE. Basically, it's very important to decentralize digital on the operational level. Because what happened, you have to follow the CI, the guidelines of the brand and everything, but you need that kind of maneuverability a little bit on digital at the dealership level, because the dealership are the one interacting with your customers.
100%.
So you need to decentralize and take off that load, and you say, what? Okay, I'll give you those CI and guidelines, and also the CI and guidelines need to be also updated with today's world, like you have UGC, you have all this stuff. And to make sure that the dealership with the skilled people within the dealership are good to engage and try different digital initiatives. That leeway, that freedom is important. And till now we're not getting there. Even though we see a lot of edge from the big manufacturers saying, okay, you know what? We go digital, we go transformation, we want AI, but until and unless you really give that edge a little bit to the dealership and to say, not even a little bit, to be relaxed, to engage, because they know their audience. Like something very important, our sales team understand their audience because they know, they have interacted with them, they have that rapport with them, which basically you can even translate on your customer journey, coming back to on your call center, coming back to your website, and not to mention as well, I'm jumping on a different subject here, it's the website. The website is still very typical, and for me the website is like your virtual showroom. Yeah. So what happened today, companies and dealership and even the manufacturer, they invest on a beautiful experience, on a hotel-like experience in the showroom. Like we're having one soon. I would like to invite you there.
Love to be there.
We're launching our new Audi showroom. Yeah, and it's a hotel experience, but you also need to reflect that on the website.
100%.
That kind of service, this is still not picking up traction there.
We work with so many different dealerships and so many different brands. I feel like these brands, they're just worried. They work with the entire world, right? And there's some dealerships that aren't as advanced as a Nabooda. So they kind of put these shackles. But then for the ones who actually know what they're doing and are advanced, they need to be a little bit unshackled, or they're the ones that know their audience in a particular region. Sometimes it's not just for Nabooda and their brands. It's overall, I feel like sometimes the shackles are on a little bit too tight. What we see is with some of the newer brands, they haven't developed those processes yet, so their dealerships get to be a little bit more experimental, etc. They get to control more of those environments, and sometimes that's not the right answer either. So I think there's somewhere in the middle,
Yeah.
and it depends on also like the experience of the dealer, etc., and how much they are connected with their audience and how much they want to push their experience, the investment that they can put.
No, Jad, you're totally correct. And today we are lucky we are in the UAE and we're in Dubai. I've never seen dealership putting that much investment behind anything in UAE because, you know, we want to be the top of the top.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's not like, yeah, sometimes the manufacturer are a bit concerned about such dealer, but not in UAE or not in Dubai, and especially not in Nabooda.
Yeah.
So there is no one solution fits all, but we need to also give that breather so people can really do stuff differently. Definitely, it's not like 100%. You have your breather, but in digital, as I said, it's different than engineering because we're used to engineering. You eventually have an end product. In digital, there is a lot of let's try this hypothetically. Let's do this. Let's try that. Let's see this use case. Is it good? This is very important, and that's what will strive any company in the digital world. And especially, we have a lot of newcomers now in the market, and they're fast. Speed is key. Bureaucracy will delay you. Look at the Dubai government.
Yeah.
Everything is digital.
Yeah.
You get things on the
Very
fly.
quick.
Like even in some other countries where we consider advanced, they're not as fast.
Yeah.
Here we get everything on the spot. So imagine what the consumer is used to in UAE. You know, with the Amazon and the other stuff. Fast, speed is key. So how can you turn things quickly without a lot of bureaucracy? But also we have to be careful. You are representing a company, which is like Nabooda, and the brands. Mm-hmm. So you have to juggle correctly, if I can say, but you need that allowance to basically make you try something.
You know what I wanted to ask you, what do you think what's customer expectations are shifting? And I think you just answered it, right? It's just they expect now more speed, they expect a better experience, they expect it to be easy, understandable, right? So is there anything else you feel like the customer experience is?
So there is something also about even the region here, and which is also we are human as well. Still, people want to feel been taken care of by a human, and I believe you guys are tackling this from your Caesar. Mm-hmm. But before I jump to Caesar, this is very important because people need to feel they've been taken care about people, and that's what we are. We're human by the end of the day. Nevertheless, what people want is, I don't want to repeat myself again or twice. And what will make the experience a wow experience is in our system predicting the next best action. And this will only come from your data and from kind of drawing a line, understanding basically what's that customer, and it's a one segment customer, they call it. For example, Jad is my customer. How is Jad user experience? And that's what's important. That's why I'm fixing the basics now. And then I'll be able to draw that. And then I'm connecting all my system together and bringing that data where in the future, Caesar can read my data properly. And we can eventually move ahead and give a way better experience. Now, that being said, as you know, part of our roadmap, and as I said, you need sometimes some thirst killer, we have introduced Caesar.
Yeah.
And we have implemented Caesar in our call center. It's still an internal. We later on, as I said, I go with a dipstick approach to check things and then to evolve. Currently, it's helping a lot our agent to quickly address the concern of a customer, to quickly onboard our agent. We are hoping eventually to offer it to the customers, but as you know, we do have Nabooda as a corporate brand, and it's the website there, but our people buy from the brand, so we do have 100%. The dedicated brand's website.
Yeah.
So we need to see how we can bring it there to make it more, because you know today the agents are important, we see a lot of major technology firms are going heavily on this one. And definitely that's one of the area where we need to tackle, not to mention on the optimization of inventory optimization, how to communicate with the customer, with the marketing cloud tools, and so on.
So actually, we haven't like really talked about this publicly. Nabooda was like one of the earliest ones to get an internal Caesar. And essentially, it's not customer facing. It's literally an AI powered tool that helps the call center get access to information. So it's all about, and I think you agree with this, Sami, in terms of like in the future we're going into AI powered processes or humans powered by or having access to a lot more information that AI can get to them much quicker.
Speed.
Yes, speed.
With guardrails.
With some guardrails.
Because in the past we heard about some stories when someone was asking and the bot, I know it's not AI kind of, but the bot recommended the competition.
So and on that point, like with Caesar, we're talking about these are some ways that you're getting ahead and that you're being able to service your customers a little bit better. Are there any other things that you guys are doing that you feel like are really pushing the customer experience? Or, I mean, like even you talked about the hotel-like experience that is available now in the new showroom. Is there anything else that you want to bring online? So like, what are you doing or what would you want to do in terms of like improving customer experiences across the board?
Yeah, so it's very important. I always like to go back to the basics, as I said before, but today we have some internal things we need to work on, which is the process automation, and AI will play a big role in that. There is a big role also in terms of data, managing the data through AI as well. These are one of the use cases, and we're going to implement AI in terms of communicating to the customer, especially whenever they're due for their next service, and using that also to enable kind of parts availability. In the past we had challenge, it was a worldwide challenge in terms of sometimes part availability and stuff like that. But now what my plan to do once I have the basics in place is how can I optimize my next best action with the customer and how I can make sure that I'm really hitting the hammer on the nail, because it's very important, and especially today customers don't really have time. It's amazing, and we got used to it, and what accelerated that was during COVID. The amount of things you bought online during COVID was crazy, was phenomenal. People got that traction, even though we're talking about a big ticket item here, it's totally different, but that engagement got in their DNA now. So we have to be there.
100%. And it's really interesting. You talk about like a one customer segment. It's all about personalization as well, right? So each one has a specific experience and you want to make sure that you're catering to each of that experiences. So, and like everything you say really resonates in terms of like, so you need to have clean data. You have to start from the basics. You have to have a good customer experience from the very beginning, because that's the foundation that then you need to build on. If you have a shaky foundation, you start building, things are going to topple.
You will have a gap.
You
will have a gap, and you have to be very transparent with your management, because setting the expectation upfront is very important. Because first you need to understand your tech stack, and accordingly tell your management, hey, we're going to move there. Currently, this is what we can do, but don't expect much. Once I fix the basic, that's my next level where I'm going to take it.
Where do you see challenges in the tech stack usually?
We have a lot of old legacy systems. They are needed. They are 100% needed. But if you, for example, if today we look at it, we have a lot of, today you have the ERP of the world or the DMS of the world. And those stuff, they kind of started building things on top of it. But their job is to make sure you have your data structure, your inventory in place. Their job is not to communicate to customers. So what happened, the new tech that came on board with AI being kind of the common denominator, the workflows, the automation, the kind of being able to segment, slice and dice the way you want, connect to other system. This is important. So what happened, you end up having a lot of kind of old system that today you cannot do much. You cannot work out a model on your parts inventory to eventually make sure it adds up to your value chain and order directly from the manufacturer.
How do these systems talk to each other? Exactly.
And it's not only with dealership, it's also across even at the manufacturer level. So now we're shifting. With Nabooda and VW Group, we're having a big shift on those. And Porsche is on the way as well, and McLaren. So we're really taking that step, and they're basically bringing people to work on those programs.
Very, very interesting. Where do you see we're going to be in 10 years? Like if you had to, I know sometimes it's really hard to look that far forward, but what do you think some fundamental shifts will be in the experience from now till 10 years? I know automotive is also slower than a lot of other industries. So, but like, what would you like to see? Or what do you think you'll see?
Okay, I know EV will take a big chunk there.
Okay.
And this is happening as we speak. But, and also we do have connected cars as we speak today. But it's very important to, because I'm a petrolhead.
Same.
So I'd still love to hear the engine roaring and stuff like that. But what's gonna happen there is you're gonna have your vehicle connected to the dealership, and that will prevent a lot of things, and that will improve the customer lifetime value, and it improve the customer experience as well. Because imagine before things started getting faulty, you've been alerted, and that also will help on ordering the spare parts, genuine spare parts, and so. It's the same thing like in the healthcare system today. It's a bit different, but it's kind of today they are able through AI to detect early signs of cancer, and that gives a big leap for humanity in terms of treatment and stuff like that. So imagine
prevention is always better.
Prevention is better than heading. So basically, before your brakes are already consumed, you already have things coming. Your spark plugs, everything can be connected to our system. And that will drive the experience, adding to it the AI, the conversation AI agent, adding to it basically the next best action and the best code for the customer. Imagine we're bringing all those convenience and enablement for our customer to be relaxed. You don't need to worry about the cars. Keep it for we take care of your car, and we take care of your whole journey of buying, servicing, and then trading in your car.
I mean, I even look at cars now versus cars 20 years ago, like the amount of reliability that now we see because of a lot of the processes that have improved is a leap. There's another leap coming. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's crazy where we started. As I told you, I started in the auto industry in 2009. It's crazy where we are today. And definitely we're heading to a crazier part, but it's a beautiful thing.
It's very interesting. And I think where we're heading, and I think that's a very interesting next question in terms of like, okay, so there's EVs coming, like obviously I think, and I'll take your thoughts on this in terms of like, I think expectations were EVs were going to be quicker by a lot of analysts or even governments internationally. Now they're rolling back some of those like that acceleration.
Yeah.
Not only in terms of production, but also in terms of infrastructure. There's lots of different things that are impacting, that growth. But EVs are coming to a certain extent. Let me get your thoughts on that first, in terms of like, how do you see that EV growth as a petrolhead as well? I'm a petrolhead too, so it's interesting to get your thought process.
EV definitely it's coming and it's here to stay and it's gonna grow, but you need a good infrastructure for EV. If you're in a country like in Dubai, and I think we're among the leading countries here to have those infrastructure in place, because today anywhere you drive, the petrol station are there, you just charge. Now what's happening today, and I think this is where the competition is going head to head, is how fast you can charge. Because when you're going to the petrol station, 2 minutes, your tank is full. Now you can go anywhere and drive and cruise anywhere you want. We need to be at that rate with EV, or to be able to secure some stations on the long run. And this is number one. Number two is the range. And the range in normal weather condition, and the range in terms of whenever summer kicks in. So you need more AC, you need the AC to be on all the time and all this, and this consumes a lot. And connecting this back to your service center, I believe even the service center will become software update. So basically, instead of, we have to fix your engine, just let me update your software, something like that. So, and how to monetize that. That's my take on EV. And definitely there'll be a lot of use cases where the key can identify, for example, the driver. Sometimes you buy your car and your son, the story. We all have done that. So you take your dad's car.
100%.
And you drive. So basically you always have those identification, all this stuff. And I believe also you can then you sell it, and there's a lot of use cases on blockchain on this in terms of used cars, so you know the whole history,
Of
and
the
then
car.
you're good to sell it back. That's, I don't know, it's like 360,
Yeah,
and it's everywhere.
Yeah, I think very interesting conversation to be had on like resale value of EVs as well, and like understanding how are they depreciating versus
The
traditional,
traditional, yeah.
and like what is the maintenance long term and what is the longevity long term, etc. Yeah, definitely like things that we're going to start figuring out in the next 5 to 10 years when this technology becomes more widely adopted. Like right now, it is slightly still a
Totally.
bit of a niche product.
Yeah.
But I think with a lot of Chinese brands entering the market with more cost-effective options and stuff like that, and EV, like quite a few coming from China. How did you see that, the Chinese market and the Chinese growth? What is that? Is it a threat? Is it a new player that has entered the game? Obviously, their products are also not like, they're slightly different than the products that are currently existing in the market, even though they're trying to range across, price points and product offerings.
For the Chinese, definitely, we can see they're pretty much in the market. What I can tell here is that it's like, when, I don't know if you recall, that people were used to the American, the German, and the Japanese, and the European.
Yeah.
European, I mean maybe France, Italy, and stuff like that. And then remember that phase when the Korean introduced their cars.
Yeah.
And people were like, Korean, and then now Korean are one of the good brands as well. Similar thing, I believe, to the Chinese. We know now we have an influx like never. It's mushrooming everywhere, but eventually, the main player will rise up, and you will have the key player like what we had with the Korean. It's very important to understand the car park you're heading to.
Sorry to interrupt you, but like just for the example that Sam is giving is, I don't know if a lot of you remember, but Koreans, there was SsangYong and there was all these other even Daewoo, right?
Daewoo.
Now we have Kia,
Hyundai, and people basically these are good brands as well.
Yeah.
So what's happening today? You need to understand the car park, and you have to thread differently. When you have that car park there, I believe now, especially with the brand that we deal with, they're realizing that. And the thing is about the Chinese, they're very hardworking. So, and they're releasing quick. So they understood to take it as a startup, but we know China is massive as a country, and they're going through heavy production. Now, what will happen? I believe the brands, the renowned brands that have a good history, like Porsche, like VW, Audi, and McLaren, they're realizing that they need to thread differently. The car park is different. The revenue need to be played differently, especially with EV. What used to do on oil change is not gonna be on EV anymore, similar. So how can we be ready for that era, but definitely in a hybrid approach, because you will still have combustion cars.
Yeah. And to your point, you were saying that they started with like a little bit of a startup approach, and they're adapting quickly.
Fast.
Honestly, that's where we're seeing the value of Chinese brands kind of increasing. We work on a couple of like data products as well, looking at the market. And because they were advancing so quickly early on, every product iteration was coming with a much bigger advancement.
Yeah.
The resale value was getting really hurt, because you buy a car that's 2 years old,
And that's
versus
already-
today, it's the 2-year-old one isn't great. But now that they're kind of starting to get to the top, the resale value is holding. Now this is
it will take time. So
take
until that stabilization of brands takes that level, and say, okay, you know what? Now now your residual value are really properly structured. It will take time.
Yeah.
This is where the existing brand are good at, because they've been there. So when you buy a Porsche, for example, the 911. It's a different experience.
It's
altogether.
crazy. Like 911, I think even if you look at their iterations across time, they hold value. So well. They can be an investment piece.
Because it's like an art. It's like a piece of art.
Yeah.
Them, the McLaren as well. So these are niche products that they can maintain and even gain in value. It's like when you buy an old piece of art and then it grows in value. So this is where the new Chinese brands are not yet there. Maybe after some time, definitely they'll be there. But this is the leverage that the existing brands have. Now they need to work on how to be fast.
100%. Yeah, and obviously some of these entry-level products come in I don't think most of them don't even threaten the portfolio, right?
No,
So
not really.
because of the products that you guys offer are like even there is brand value and brand loyalty. That's like if I buy VWs, I usually keep buying VWs. I keep buying Audis. I have loyalty to these
And
brands.
even the drive is different.
Yeah.
I
experience
cannot
is
talk about the
definitely
other brands. Definitely, I'll talk with the brands I'm dealing
Yeah.
with. The drive is different.
If we're talking Porsche, like there's let's or McLaren,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
definitely different experience.
It's the beauty about Nabooda that we have that range of brands, right? So you have from when you go buy the VW, the Audi, to the brands like Porsche where you can configure and McLaren, and that become very personalized.
Very interesting, man. I'm excited to see what's coming. So we have a new segment
Okay.
that we introduced recently, just to add a little bit of like variety and some fun. We call it the Q&A drive-by.
Yes.
So we're going to have our little pickup truck come in and give us some questions.
Nice. I'm a big truck fan myself. Oh, that truck. I was imagining big truck. All right.
So if you want, pick a question.
Pick a question. Yeah, let's see those pink ones. Should I read it out loud?
Sure.
What 3 items would you bring with you on a deserted island? You're gonna bring a lot of troubles, huh?
It doesn't have to be obviously if you, outside of family and loved ones.
Yeah,
and,
So, honey, I love you. No, I love you. But that's just a joke, yeah. No, what I will bring with me on a deserted island. You know, it took me back. My kids playing with Minecraft these days. So yes, you have to bring maybe an animal.
Okay.
Just to breed out of it, so to get you
Some
milk
food?
and stuff,
Okay.
or some food, some seeds where you can plant and have some farming, and the third one, my phone. Maybe I need to get in touch with you.
Yeah. I mean, just having your phone, I think you could call some help.
Yeah, but deserted. I don't know how fast they can make it. Talking about speed.
Yeah, 100%.
Now should I pick another?
Pick
one?
another one. Go ahead.
Mm.
And then
Those are troublemaking questions. I'll keep it outside. Let's take that blue in the middle. Okay. If you could turn any activity into Olympic sport, would you win a gold medal? What would you win a gold medal in? Okay. Funny enough, I used to love the Colin McRae and those racing games on the PC back in time. Currently, it's Gran Turismo. I would love to put this there.
Man,
with the seat and the overall virtual feeling. I think there was a movie, the Gran Turismo
movie.
Yeah, that's what I would put there.
100%. I think like even now the Formula One teams, like McLaren now have an F1 like eSIM team.
Simulators.
Yeah, simulator team. I think now they're even having some of those guys do like their simulator testing to improve their cars and stuff like that. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, it's close to reality.
I'll do a question. Just
Thanks.
If you could swap roles with anyone at the company for one day, who would it be? Very interesting question.
Luckily, you pulled that, not me.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think I would. I wouldn't want the responsibilities of like the CEO or stuff like that. So, Tade, I appreciate you for what you do. you can keep doing that stuff. I actually think I would swap with someone in the data team. I'm so curious, like from a learning perspective. I would love to see like how they're implementing processes, understand a little bit deeper. Like I already have a little bit of a data understanding with SQL queries and stuff like that. But like, really understanding some infrastructure, seeing the day-to-day life of a data engineer. To me, I think it's just so much value in terms of learning.
That being said, is very important because you cannot believe the power of creating something.
Yeah.
And creation in the hand of software engineers is crazy. It's massive and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you end up seeing your end product and you're testing and something, Something I would like to answer on this from my side. I'll take one of our sales team role.
Yeah.
I like to meet people. I like to talk to people. It's something that, because you're in the people business.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it offers so many insights as
Big
well. Being front facing with the customer,
Yeah.
seeing exactly what they're like. What we do with Seize Boost is sometimes we need to understand that process. Is what is the customer asking for these days, and who are the customers? You know what I mean?
Funny enough, being as I used to have a role in my previous job in terms of product, it's very important to meet the customer or
Yeah.
to meet the potential customer. What happened, most of the people, and this I like to iterate on, most of the people think they know their customers.
Mm-hmm.
But trust me, just raise the phone, pick up your phone and call your customer and try to listen. You'll get amazing feedback, things that were in your blind spot you didn't expect, you didn't know. And I've done that with multiple initiatives that I took. The feedback that you get from on the ground customers are gold. It's something, no matter how much you have people who are subject matter expert, the feedback from the mouth of the lion is very important. And this is one of the design approach when you do any product.
100%. And I can't explain to you, I had like, in my previous experience, I had an agency. I worked with so many marketing managers, and sometimes I felt like the customers that they said they had were the customers they wanted and not the customers they had.
Or maybe predefined.
Yeah. Like they're like, this is the customer that is predefined, or the customer I want to have. But actually, if they go and look to see who's actually buying the product, sometimes it evolves, it changes. You know what I mean? And they're still in, oh, this is who our customer is. No, this is evolving.
I'd like to
with time.
recommend a book for the audience. And that's a book recommended by a friend of mine, my previous colleague who was a good friend of mine. It's called The Mom's Test.
The Mom's Test.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a PDF document, I believe. Very small book, but it gives you how to ask the right question. Not to ask the question that are leading to tell you, yes, you're right.
100%.
It's amazing. That's a good one to
and
use.
I think to that point is unbiased questions.
Yes.
And knowing how to ask these questions even to customers is super important. I think we incorporate that like as part of the Seize Boost product when we're supporting with marketing. We work with Sami on a couple of Seize Boost clients as well. So
yes.
Disclaimer: Seize Boost runs ads for McLaren and for VW. It's about understanding what that end customer is and not infusing your question with the answer so that you get a biased answer, because then you bias all of your results.
You bias the whole journey, and this is very important, Jad. I cannot tell you. It's like, if the movie The Wolf of Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Sell me the pen, sell me this pen. Mm-hmm. It's one of the key things. You need to know what to ask and be ready to take the answer and work on the answer. One thing very important part of my experience, when I used to call during COVID, I had an experience on that. I called the customers myself. So what happened, the sales team prepared them, I called them. People are so happy to give their feedback, especially customers. And this is gold for your improvement. And the best part is when you do it, try to check with them again if that's meeting the requirement.
Mm-hmm.
The experience will be amazing. You have won this customer for life.
100%. No, 100%. Understanding that customer is key to that part of the journey.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this segment. I think we can have the car drive out now.
Can I go drift with that a little bit?
I don't know if maybe after we finish the podcast recording, for sure. So thanks for the Q&A drive-by. I just wanted to ask you, looking to the future, I think we're an AI company, so we tend to be a little bit biased in terms of the impacts that AI is going to have on multiple types of businesses, especially in automotive. We have the Chief Digital Officer of Nabooda with us, so we'd like to take your impressions. Where do you think AI is going to make an impact in the near future in the automotive industry?
Amazing question, Jad. One thing I'd like to highlight before I jump into the details: you cannot be like an ostrich and you put your head in the sand. Mm-hmm. It's not, no, technology is bad. Well, hard luck. You have to live with it. But how to balance it is very important. So one of the areas that I see AI spinning off things quickly, but definitely you need also to have that maturity in dealing with that and know kind of putting the guardrail. Today, AI is providing a one-man show to deliver the throughput, like having 10 people with you.
Yeah.
So it's very important to really master those AI tools, because the amount, they used to talk about communication skills, strategic skills, leadership skills. You need AI skills as well now. Mm-hmm. So if you can infuse that in your profile and never stop learning, that will also kind of put you in the right position in the current era. Like even my kid today, he's 9, he goes and asks ChatGPT. I'm like, okay, fine, you can ask me, I'm your dad. But no, so basically you need to put that there because it will help you spin off things in a speed like you've never imagined, and keeping your team lean. I know this will be bad in the understanding, no, now we're gonna cut costs. No, upskill so you can stay relevant in this era.
No, 100%. Like I talked to my team about this, and and even I was like on Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival talking about AI. It's upskilling us, right? We added the internet. It gave us access to so much information. Jobs didn't go away.
Yeah.
It's just people became better at them, and they
exactly.
were able to share more.
Exactly.
So it's making the quality better. That's what we can expect long term from most.
Big time. So this is my 2 cents on thing. Please upskill.
Right from the Chief Digital Officer of Nabooda, Sami, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, man.
It was very nice to have you. Thank you so much for everyone who watched through the entire episode. If you've made it this far, we'd really appreciate if you could like, subscribe, follow us on C's, so that we can keep bringing these podcasts to you. Please feel free to leave a comment down below with what type of episode or what kind of content or any questions that you have. We'd love to address them in the near future. And thank you so much for joining us. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you.